Hi there, selamat datang. I'm Nadia Nash and you're watching round 3 of the Asian Le Mans series. And of course, we are here in Sepang International Circuit, a track that we're all familiar with. The drivers are really happy to be here. But just to make things a little bit more exciting, we are having our first race ever under lights. So the race will end at 9 p.m. tonight in the dark. It is going to be interesting. And also, for the first time in the series history, we just had qualifying sessions just a couple of hours ago, and it was exciting. So now the teams are back on the grid, ready to battle it out with Team Eurasia at the front of the starting grid. So that's for LMP2 class. And in LMP3, it was Team Inter-Europol that's leading their pack. And in GT class, it was Car Guy that came out the fastest, leading the GT class. So we have got all the amazing drivers in their cars ready to battle it out for outright championship and for class victory. And of course, the prize, the ultimate prize that's on the line, the prestigious 24-hour of Le Mans invitation. So you throw in the mix there, a little challenge for the race that's ending at night. We are bound for an exciting 4 hours here in Sepang. So you're not going to miss any minute of it. So hold tight, sit back, and enjoy another exciting round of the Asian Le Mans series.
Beautiful scenes from Malaysia, and of course Malaysia has been one of the most integral parts of the Asian Le Mans series over the last 3 years, and it is so again. Round 3 of the 2019-2020 season is right here. My name is Jeevan Selvanathan. Graham Goodwin is in the commentary box with me. It seems we were just here, Graham.
It does. It comes around very quickly indeed, doesn't it? It's been a packed program, but just over a couple of days here in the fabulous country of Malaysia. Little worried about the weather.
Because that is now pretty torrential outside, 31 degrees temperature, 83% humidity, and 8-kilometer-hour wind as well. Now, let's go down to Nadia, who's with Daniel Gaunt, the first of the people we're going to be talking to today.
Yes, Daniel Gaunt here with us. You're going to be starting for the team?
Yeah, I thought that would be a good idea given it's daylight, or was going to be daylight, but looking at the weather rolling in, looks like it's becoming the evening very quickly. Yeah. So I'm starting. Nick did a fantastic job in quali, half a second on the field, and yeah, it's great to be paired up with such a elite driver.
Fantastic. And you were talking about the weather, of course. If it does start raining or whatever, so how's that going to affect the strategy?
You know, we'll just take it as it comes, and hopefully keep it on the black wet stuff, and hand it over and sit back, relax, and enjoy the race.
Fantastic. You look optimistic and ready to go. So that was Daniel Gaunt there at the start of the grid. All the best for the next 4 hours.
Well, I have to say, Graham, that Daniel Gaunt didn't look that optimistic. They didn't look that,
well, I can tell you right
ready
now,
for it.
you are going to be driving in the wet, Daniel, because
Yeah.
another part of the extraordinary weather we get here in Malaysia, absolutely tipping it down, but not on the pit straight. So as you can see, it is biblical stuff there, but bright sunshine. Just 3-4 corners away. It's hitting now. We can see now the rain beginning to start on pit straight. Umbrellas are going up. But
That has been really the hallmark of what we've seen so far in the last couple of days. Not just rain coming in, but rain coming in very, very quickly as well.
Yep.
And that has to be a nightmare for a racing team.
Well, if you're out there on slicks, it's very much a nightmare. Remember, a fair number of these cars are very much pro-am in endurance racing in the Asian Le Mans series. And if you've got one of your less experienced drivers at the wheel, big trouble.
Well, let's have a look now at the track, whether it's dry or wet. This is what it is, 5.543 kilometers, world-class circuit, of course, 15 turns, sweeping parts, technical parts, challenging parts, Graham.
Absolutely. I was out on the track under the lights just a couple of evenings ago. Some very quick corners indeed, but then absolutely hard on the brakes, really tight and technical before it gets into one of those phases of the track where you've got to get the power down. That's where, if you've got changeable conditions, if you've got a wet, dry track, and we could have that at certain points here, we could have streaming wet at some parts of this track and bone dry, and it dries very quickly. Tyre choice here in changeable conditions is going to be absolutely critical.
And really, that critical decision could domino off into a championship.
Just to, if you're looking in here, just to say, this looks terrible. This could be dry in 20 minutes,
yes.
And I mean bone dry in 20 minutes, because remember what we saw with that weather coming up, 31 degrees still out there. It will be coming down quite rapidly, that temperature, but 31 degrees, but that rain will dry very quickly. See the low cloud?
Well, of course, this is round 3. Now let's have a look back at round 2, which was another first for the Asian Le Mans Series. Down in South Australia, it was the Ben Motorsport Park, and this is what happened.
After almost 20 years, sports car racing was back down under at the Ben Motorsport Park, a brand new venue for a brand new era. And it starts, it would be the Eurasia Racing New Zealand car that would take the lead through turn 1. In GT, there was trouble early on for the number 77 Aston Martin, trouble too for the number 16 BMW. That cost the car guy, Ferrari, a drive-through penalty. Not enough, though, to stop the defending champions from taking the race win, part of the 1-2-3-4 for the Ferraris that dominated today. Complete turnaround from Shanghai. In LMP3, there's trouble for the number 14 Ligier, a broken brake line, a spin, one of many, I'm afraid, for the number 65 Vipanisa Racing Ligiers, and trouble too for the Graf Racing Norma late in the race, with rear end damage ending their day. The win, though, would go to the Nielsen Racing number 2 of Tony Wells and Colin Noble. In LMP2 AM, there was drama for the early race leaders as the RLRM Sport Orica of John Ferrano and Arjun Mani burst into flames. Ferrano was okay. That left a dominant 1-2 for the Rick Ware Racing pair. The 52 car, Gustas Grimbergers, just 16 years old, and Cody Ware coming through to take the win. Dramas in LMP2 as well. This for the number 33 Inter Europol Ligier. This for what was then the leading car with Daniel Gaunt, the number 1, almost eluding the lead to the Dallara until Jack Manchester had his own dramas. More drama for Daniel Gaunt as he faded toward the end of the stint. He would climb out the car with severe cramp as Shane van Gisbergen climbed aboard the number 1 Ligier. Into the mix came the number 26 Aris, and that would go into battle with the 2 Eurasia Ligiers, with first Shane van Gisbergen, then Nick Cassidy taking the fight to the number 26 car. It would be Cassidy closing in on Roman Rusinov. Rusinov, though, was stalwart in defence, Cassidy getting by just the once before the gearbox said no. The car into the garage and out of the race in the late stages, leaving a cruise to the line and a second consecutive win for the number 26 crew of Roman Rusinov, James French and Leonard Hergenboom. A great result for Aris, a great result for G-Drive, and a great result for Algarve Pro Racing. There was joyful scenes on the podium once again.
We are in the middle of the grid as the rain is pouring on us. So none of the drivers are out here. We can't get any interviews, but the team mechanics are still hard at work getting their cars ready for flag off in just a few minutes. That's how it is at the grid right now. Back up to studio.
You take care of yourself down there, Nadia. Graham, what is the outlook for this race now? I don't think even in our wildest dreams we expected it to be this wet. A light shower, maybe.
That is terrific amount of rain. I can't see that this race is going to get underway under green flag conditions in these conditions. Should say, Nadia, up here it's a little bit chilly, but we feel for you down there. It is pounding rain around the whole circuit now. Let's get a quick look at how the grid will form once we do get things underway. Pole position went to the number 1 Eurasia Ligier. It was Nick Cassidy that put in a blinding final lap, and taking the pole position on us from almost equally blinding lap from Sean Tong in the Orica 07 K2 Yachino Racing. That is going to be front row, Ligier and Orica. G-Drive Racing by Algarve Pro will be disappointed. Their Aurus is on row 2 after Roman Rusinov put in a fine qualifying performance, and alongside him will be the first of the Inter-Europol squad. In LMP3 and LMP2 it was Anthony Lazaro that rather surprised himself, I think, by putting the 25 Ligier ahead of the sister car in what's a reduced grid for the LMP2 AM class this weekend. Nigel Moore, 4th time in succession that Nigel has put in the fastest qualifying performance in LMP3 here at Sepang, albeit he was disqualified from that position last year because of an equipment infringement, but it was the Ligier to the fore. And then in the GT class, our championship leaders and defending champions, Car Guy, their Ferrari Evo, 488 Evo, in the hands of Com Ledegar, got the bragging rights at the end, ahead of the 51 car that has reverted back to the previous spec.
Let's have a look at the track on a much drier evening. This is Roscan in the number 77 D-Station Aston Martin having a hot lap of the Sepang International Circuit.
Hi guys, my name is Roscan, driver for D-Station Racing here in the Aston Martin GT3 Vantage. We are at the Sepang International Circuit heading down the pit straight into turn 1. Reaching just below 250 kph, braking just at the 100 meter board. Really long corner into turn 1, double apex. Try not to spin the rear tyres up too much out of 1 to have good rear stability into 2. Take a little bit of curb, use all the road on the exit, and then turn 3 is a little bit of an easy flat out corner, heading uphill to turn 4. Again, look for your braking reference just beyond 100 meters. Second gear, use the inside curb as much as possible, and then the outside curb on exit. Try and set yourself up for turn 5 straight over to the right hand side. Keep it in third gear, just a slight lift. The Aston Martin is working really well through these sort of corners. Little bit of curb in 6, out to the exit on the left. Heading into 7 and 8, really long corner. Try and make it one corner into a long arc because it's a double apex. Again, out to the exit and straight back over to the right to line yourself up for turn 9. Braking just beyond 100 again. Try and get the curb on the inside and then straight into 10. Mind the rear on the exit, and also the rear is going to be oversteering a little bit into 11. And now we're heading into some of the best corners on the track. Again, a high speed left-hander, followed by a fast right, but then we need to approach turn 14, thinking about the braking. Exit is so important out of here, so we've got a long straight heading down to the last corner. A little bit of time to rest now, think about the last corner, take a drink, and then again we're starting to now think about the braking zone. Braking just at the 100 meter border yet again. It's a bit of a strange line into here, it's a little bit off camber, so you miss the apex initially, and then squeeze the throttle on the exit, and then that is a lap of the beautiful Sepang F1 International Circuit.
Qualifying happened earlier today. Let's have a look right now.
So this first, the 3 15-minute sessions saw the 6 GT3 cars, 2 of the Ferraris there leaving the pits, the Lamborghini in the background. First to the top came the Hub Autos Corsa car, the Evo version of the Ferrari 488, the 27 car in the hands of Davide Rigon. Also seeing the top of the charts, the 75 car, also now an Evo spec, the Indonesian entered T2 car, in the hands of Rio Haryanto. But the end of the session saw coming to the fore, Com Ledegar in our championship leading number 7 Car Guy car, defending champions, and at the moment they'd like to regard themselves as champions-elect. Marta Ferrari congratulating Com Ledegar. Second session, this time 8 cars on track, the 8 cars of our LMP3 contingent, and a growing contingent. Number 2 car in the hands of Colin Noble late into the session, trying to push the Saltire liveried Nielsen car into contention. David Drew topped the session in his number 9 tricolour coloured Graf Racing Norma M30, but he was pipped at the post initially by Garrett Grist. In the second, the Nielsen Racing cars, the Canadian flag driver, very quick all weekend here in the rejuvenated effort from the rebuilt number 3 after their problems with the car in Australia last month. But it was the 13 car, the Inter-Europol competition Ligier JSP3, muscled around by Nigel Moore. It is a Ligier, it is the 13 car, it is Inter-Europol competition, and it is Nigel Moore taking pole position in a result that now matters more than ever for the Polish team, Polish flag team, that brings 4 cars here to the Asian Le Mans Series. That's the thumbs up from Nigel Moore as he comes home. After a delay, because of problems for a car in the previous session, we saw the LMP2 cars out on track. The 26 car, first of the 4, Harry Tinknell trying to attack as well in the number 45 car. The 34 car also in the mix with Matthias Besch at the wheel of one of the 2 Inter-Europol Ligiers. They were the early contenders. Roman Rusinov looked like he grabbed it by just a 1/10 of a second from Besch until we got into the last moments of the qualifying session. 26 car though was pipped first by a surprise effort, came almost from nowhere. Sean Tong in the 96 K2 Achino Orica put the car on top by a distance, looked like he might do it, but right at the flag it was Nick Cassidy there in the foreground in the all black Kiwi coloured Eurasia car number 1. Nick Cassidy, the emerging Kiwi superstar, he's going to be on pole position for the number 1 Eurasia Racing New Zealand Ligier GSP 217. An extraordinary end to a disjointed LMP2 qualifying session. So after an unprecedented electrical storm, 3 direct strikes on the circuit, taking out most of our broadcast cameras with it, and a 100-minute delay, we're finally about to get underway. The penultimate round of the 2019-2020 Asian Le Mans Series. We go green. Still spray along the start-finish straight. Pretty dry, more or less everywhere else around the circuit. Cars come streaming through. And as the GT cars start their lap, we're going to go on board now with Francesco Piavanetti aboard the number 51 Spirit of Race Ferrari. Still spray on the screen. Daniel Gaunt still leads the race, but it's the 96 up in, still in second position. James French holds third. So we watch for the cars streaming through. Car 52, it tells us under inventory nobody quite yet. Top 4 cars as up the inside of the Arabus, Nick Foster taking a look, the 36 car looking to make a move on James French. A bit of trouble there for Dominic Ang. Just that gap a little. Jack Manchester pulling away from the Arabus and up the inside and into 5th position. And into the lead in GT has gone Tomonobu Fuji in the D-Station Aston Martin. Here we're on board with Fuji-san. But he has got his mirrors full of Liam Talbot in the chasing 27 Hub Auto Corsa Ferrari 488. Also well in touch is number 88 J-Lock Lamborghini. Dominic Ang though has got him in his sights, a couple of seconds back. They're the 2 contenders right now. There are our 2 leaders. That's the gap back to Nick Foster. And the next car up will be the Dallara, having already passed and lapped the 51 car.
A good shot there of Daniel Gaunt leading the pack. So this has been a sudden turnaround for Eurasia Motorsport. It really was looking in free practice 1 and 2 that they were going to be quite invisible.
Then we get to the battle for the lead in GT. That is Tomonobu Fuji going wide. That could give an opportunity for a bit of contact there. As
contact for Talbot.
Through came one of the 2 Rickware Racing cars. I think that might be. Is that Lazaro, or is that the recovering Cody Ware? Change of lead in GT. Aston Martin Vantage now behind Liam Talbot's Auto Corsa Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. So Aston Martin, having made its way up from the second row of the grid in GT, now falls back to second on the road. Liam Talbot, a gentleman driver with plenty of big race wins on his CV nowadays.
Yeah.
We're looking for another one here tonight. Lovers of all things green and yellow will be pleased to see the car we just saw going through there. That shot, that was the 13 car, back out and running in the hands of Martin.
Norwich City fans.
7 minutes on pit road though, and that's going to cost them dearly. Regular cars coming towards us here. That's the 51 car looking for a way by the 75 T2 Motorsports car. And that is actually a position that's just changed. In fact, it's David Tipiantoro that's actually taken that position. It says well, by the way, Liam Talbot is pulling away from the Aston Martin. He got by, he's now 3 seconds to the good in the lead of this race.
Rory Penttinen leading the LMP3 class, as he has been since the beginning.
10 seconds to the good now in the lead of that class. Dominic Ang not able to hold on to the race leader at LMP3, and that is at the moment 8th position overall.
It just looks like we have had a bit of a 26 at turn 9. In fact, if I'm right,
James
that's
French.
That's James French, championship leader.
Needs to just be careful there, not getting bogged down.
Oh, it's a dodgy re-entry.
They didn't have very much option there. It was either reverse across the track or
Water?
trust in the god of steering luck, and just did enough to get it back on there with no further dramas. But it won't have done much good for the condition of the tyres, particularly, well, either any of the 4 tyres, particularly on the right hand side of that car. It'll have to be tippy-toeing a little bit for the remainder of that lap at the very least. In comes the race leader in GT as well, 27 car. This is a little early for their fuel strategy, but it's almost, you can't afford not to do it if the opportunity arises. It's beginning to see the effect of the floodlights.
We're here at Thunderhead Carlin Racing. Jack Manchester just got out of the car. Ben Bunnycoat's in the car right now. Tell us about your stint.
Yeah, no, I was really happy with it. Made a few positions. I think we led the race at one point. You know, it's a good place to come from P6 up to there. You know, we obviously we got overtaken by the cars that pitted to slicks, but you know that's what it is. It's just it's a gamble. But you know we're yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Well, start of the race delayed by some 100 minutes after multiple lightning strikes, but race got underway on a track with a mixture of almost fully dry but some wet conditions. The Aston Martin Vantage went to the lead of the GT class early on and held that through much of the first hour, albeit being the Tsunobu Fuji under pressure from Liam Talbot in the 27 car. Talbot, the Australian gentleman driver, would take the lead and drive away in the Huberto Corsa Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. In LMP3, the number 8 car, in addition to the grid here at Sepang, in the hands of Rory Penttinen, would go to the front. Whilst at the front of the race overall, Daniel Gaunt was fighting away with Sean Tong for the overall, the 2 black cars, the 1 Eurasia car ahead of the 96 car from K2 Achino. Bit of a moment for James French in the number 26 G-Drive by APR car.
We are now in Viper Niza Racing Garage. They were leading in LMP3. We've got Dominic here with us and Douglas is in the car. Tell us, why is the car in the garage?
Well, we are coming for a mandatory pit stop, and then the lights on the left side number and the rear left light was not working. So the organizer required us to fix the lights before we go out again. So now we are fixing the lights there.
So all because of the lights at the side of the car not working, and in a way it's a technicality. But as we are speaking, the car is heading back out. What are your chances, you think? Because you guys were leading when you guys came in.
Well, we'll see how we did the right call in the first FCY, so that's why we had the lead. So now we see how we just keep pushing and then see where we end up later, because we lost a few laps in here in the pits. Yeah.
And of course, Douglas is in the car right now, but I'm assuming you are getting back in.
Yes, we'll get back in again another time. Yeah.
All the best for your stint, and also all the best to the whole team of Viper Niza Racing.
Onto pit lane again comes the 27 car. Now this might be
Driver
the
change.
team. I think the team are putting themselves back onto. This might be the end of Liam Talbot's driving time. So Liam's been in since the start of the race. So his stint at the end of
The question now is, I think Liam has done enough, and 2, is he really happy with the fact he's getting out of the car?
65 minutes for the car for Liam. That is the 2 championship contenders in LMP2 are at the moment in dominant form the 26 car. That car sits 6th. And the second place car is the 36 car. They sit only 4th. So the 3 cars ahead are all taking points from both the Aspirant Championship
contenders at
I
this
wonder
moment.
if it's the weather, I wonder if it's the night race, but you're right, this race so far is actually turning the championships
It's
on its head.
topsy-turvy, and looking again at the similar position in LMP3, the number 9 Graf car has
Yes,
not been a feature at the front of the pack so far this season. They lead, but will drop back a little, having just made their pit stop on the green. Viper Racing still running second.
At turn 9, and as we look at the T2 Motorsports car, that is currently in 18th overall, and that is David Tipto Biantoro on the wheel of that right now, and they are currently 4th in class. That's still a good outing for the Indonesian team. Of course, don't forget Indonesia and Malaysia are just neighbours, so while we also have, I think we've just found the source of our smoke there, Graham. I couldn't see the car, but it was definitely in there. There's more of them now.
That was a lot of smoke. So many cars having real trouble breaking into what looks like a tricky turn 9. Better news for the number 65 Viper Racing team, though. After that broken number panel, Douglas Koo is on a charge and trying to make his way back up the field. And good news too for the Japanese entered Lamborghini. The J-Lock number 88 Lamborghini Huracan looks to be well on form this evening and pushing for points. Lots up for grabs in this GT class, with all 6 cars we've got here still in title contention. The 88 car is looking strong. Rickware Racing looks set to clinch the title tonight. Sepang, but not with this car. This is Anthony Lazaro. Last man standing, of course, last time out from the race of 1,000 years, 19 years ago. And, well, the gentleman of Rickware Racing is loving being back in the driving seat of an LMP2 car. Side by side, 25 with the number 3, another car with a very strong run tonight after real woes in Australia. The second of the Nielsen Racing cars is first of the Nielsen Racing cars on the road tonight. Down they come towards turn 9. Braking problems here for either of these, but a gaggle of cars behind. As through comes number 3, Rob Hodes aboard the car. And trouble behind. We've got one prototype recovering, 2 prototypes recovering. The 75 T2 Motorsports Ferrari stationary in the centre of the track. What has happened there? We'll go on board the number 26 car, which was involved in that incident, and see just exactly what was going on there. Through goes one of the Inter-Europol cars, that's the number 8. Graf Racing Norma to the left-hand side with Rory Penttinen into the corner. Should be well clear. On the apex and bang into the back of the number 26 car. Door open on the number 8 Graf Racing car. Was that maybe a distraction? There's the 75 and the 27. The 75 car clearly delayed, finding the track full of prototype, and is still stopped there as both the prototypes recover. But that looked to be, to me at least, all Rory Penttinen's fault. Nothing that the driver in the 26 car could do. Was nerved from behind at the apex. Let's take another look at that incident between 2 front-running cars. As the 3 car clears the corner, there's a gaggle of cars behind. 26 car looked to have made its way clear of the Graf car. There's a lunge for the apex where there was absolutely no space, and that's the result. 3 cars involved because the 75 car is about to arrive on the scene there. Does well with very minor contact to the front of the Norma, but damage to the 26 car. That going to have a significant effect on their ability to push back through this field. It's another pit stop for the Viper Racing crew, fighting back after that early trouble. Looked so good for them in the early stages of this race. It's a good time now to take a look back and see who the class leaders are. At this point, it is the 36 Eurasia Motorsport Ligier that leads the way. Number 3 Nielsen Racing Norma leads LMP3. 25 LMP2 Am Ligier from Rickware Racing, and in GT it's car 88, that is the J-Lock Lamborghini. 36 car, pushing hard, pushing for what would be a hugely valuable race win tonight. Another car there struggling, the 36 through tricky turn 9 in the Eurasia garage, and that tension underway in the background there you could see to the stricken number 1 car, but in the pits the latest routine stop, Roberto Meri, fuel only this time for the 36. Champing at the bit to get back out there and do what they can. to nail down what they will hope will be 25 points tonight. It is indeed tyres, like new Michelin tyres, left side only for that car. Before they get back out into it, real opportunity with the 26 delayed tonight for a massive change in the overall standings. 36 back out. And trouble for the 65 car. Vipanissa's night not getting any better. It's Douglas Koo off the track at turn 9 to the outside. As we saw earlier in the race, it's going to be difficult with the grass sodden here to get this car back out onto track without assistance. That's the LMP3 leading car, taking the opportunity to pit under yellow.
It's not just Douglas Koo at turn 9, car 25 is stopped at turn 14.
So that is going to be who's aboard that car.
That's Rickware Racing. That is in
Phil
fact.
Milacek is in trouble at turn 14.
But now remember, that isn't the championship leading.
No, it's the other car.
52 car.
Another class leading car here, about to go out after a great opening double from Charlie Cruz. Hodes is about to take the number 3 Nielsen Racing car back out into the fray. Looks like a good night so far for the number 3 Norma. In the background here, now on board, is the number 13 Inter Europol car. Look at the windscreen there, the air bubbles underneath, the tear-offs. Interested to hear from the drivers later how tricky this might have been under the lights. All sorts of visual distractions from floodlights. Not a challenge they will normally have. Team crew member goes to work in cleaning the screen. Well, if he'd done that to my car at the lights, he wouldn't be getting a quid, I can tell you that. That doesn't look any better. It looks rather worse to me. Perhaps the windscreen wiper and make a better job of that one. Europol about to get back underway. 13 car, of course, looking to do what they can do to close in on the title leading number 2 Nielsen car tonight. So an incident packed second hour. Car guy onto pit lane as the GT teams went to work, but it's not been straightforward for the championship leaders. They've plummeted to the back of the GT grid. Into the lead in the second hour came the J-Lock Lamborghini, taking the lead from the Aston Martin. The number 9 Graf Racing car was in the mix in LMP3 as a number of cars found trouble at turn 9. Vipanisa Racing went to the lead though, Dominic Ang having a grand time in hour 2, but then as Douglas Koo took over the Malaysian flag car into the garage, and plummeting back down the order from first to last. That put the number 3 Nielsen Racing Norma back into the lead of the race after setting pole position. 52 car leading LMP2 AM, Ben Barnicoat taking over from Jack Manchester. So we got the 26 car and the number 8 in trouble at turn 9, with the 75 car doing well to avoid a major collision unsighted at the apex. Roberto Merri, it was, would lead the race into the second half of the race with Ben Barnicoat in the Dallara pulling hard to try to close those gaps. Still looking very good for the Eurasia 36 car, and for that number 3 Nielsen Racing Norma, a good night for them too. It's the 27 Hub-Auto Corsa Ferrari back into the lead of the GT class and ahead now of the LMP2 AM leading car, which is now the 52, the Rickware Racing crew.
We have with us Roberto Merri, who just got out of the car for Team Eurasia, of course. Now, Aidan Reid is inside, but we want to know, how was your stint?
I mean, my first stint I was struggling a lot to put temperature on the tires because we ran quite a tricky pressures here around this track because it's quite humid and it's a special track. But then the car was good. We were quick by the end of the stint. That was our target on the first one. And then we only changed 2 tires. Then the car on the right corner was good, but on the left corner was really, really tricky. I had no grip at all. But I think the pace for the conditions was really good because we were like not the quickest. Maybe Carlin was a bit quicker, but they had 4 new tires. And then I think obviously with 4 new tires you can go quicker. But yeah, quite happy with the car how it went.
That car on your screen, absolutely no points or finishes.
It's a great effort from K2 Achino, stepping up from GT Racing. It doesn't look the smoothest stop
from the crew, though, I'm afraid. This is a long stop for them. Must have been a problem in the cockpit there.
Well, you'd have to say that with that evolving fight between Roberto Meri and Ben Barnicoat now moving into, well, I think if I'm right, that's 4 seconds between them
It's
now
4.6
on our
seconds.
computers.
With
K2 Chino could consolidate this third spot and pick up a podium. That could be it.
They've just lost third spot with this long pit stop, and that's now gone the way of the 34 car, James Winslow. John Corbett will be closing in. This is the 12 and 13 cars together. These were the two of the cars that have been delayed earlier in the race. Where are they in the overall order?
13's just gone through.
Is in 7th. The 12 car is a lap up on their lap car, but unlapping itself from the 12.
Great, we got to see that too.
Stick with this shot with the overall order.
13's just gone through.
Is in 7th. The 12 car is a lap up on their lap car, but unlapping itself from the 12. As the fight back continues to 13, it's looking like a good night for the 27 Hub Corsa. Now with Davide Regan, the fastest driver aboard the Ferrari, they're pushing on for a win. Ben Barnicoat's been pushing on, and he's actually taken the lead. He's gone ahead of the 36 car out on track after a storming stint from the young Englishman. Tension in the Thunderhead Carlink crew as they can see that emerging. It's now a chase again for the Eurasia 36 crew. The Australia Racing coloured car. 52 leads again in LMP2 AM. Cody Ware and Gustas Krimbergers heading, it seems, at this stage for the championship and for a Le Mans auto entry. Ligier JSP2 won't be able to race at Le Mans, of course, that's not eligible. So what car will they choose if they can finish this race? 9 o'clock is just past. That was originally, of course, when we should have been finishing this race. Look in the centre, there's still 100 minutes to go. After that amazing storm delayed the start. Could this be a famous win for Thunderhead Carlin? Carlin, a massive global team, never won in sports cars. And there's the Brains Trust on, well, they call it the Pratt perch, no Pratt's there. The 45 car pushes on. Barnicoat aboard the car, Jack Manchester still to come. Deep into the night now, the floodlights playing their part. The rain light still showing a number of these cars from the earlier downpour. Car guy looking to see what they can do to salvage from what's been a difficult night. The 13 car pushing on hard still. Nigel Moore with one of his trademark stints here. Every car he passes in LMP3 is going to be more points for into Europol. 34 car there. That looks like trouble on that right hand side of the car. Expect to see some attention going on there. This has been one of the stories of the night. Cars with non-functioning luminous number panels. They have to fix it. There they go. It is exactly what the crew is doing. That's why the car was being held. This has been one of a number of cars, and it's not the first time into Europol have been kept busy by these panels. Have to be showing, have to be lit so that the trackside marshals can see. 13 getting into a little bit of side-by-side action with the other into Europol LMP2 Ligier, the 33 car. Great stuff from the in-car here. See the strength of the P2 car, more power, more aero, means more speed through and out of the corners. Roger Moore though is pushing very hard indeed. He's beginning to sniff the possibility of a podium here. That did not look likely. The team lost that time at the start of the race with water in the electrics. Amazing run from the 13 again. Martin Hipper and Nigel Moore cementing their reputation of one of the fastest duos in LMP3 racing worldwide. As the next challenge to the 13, and a flash of the lights, is by Viper Nisa Racing Team. Through different things with their tyres in different ways.
Yeah.
So they may be able to look after their tyres deeper into a stint.
Right.
Having a lot of downforce is a wonderful thing in very many ways, but at times that can actually take something more out of the tyres. Let's wait and see how this pans out towards the end of these stints. With a yellow flag at turn 14.
Is that a new yellow flag at turn 14? Because we've already seen a
I
yellow
think
flag
it's
at turn 14
Philip
before.
Wilczek in trouble at turn
Oh,
14
yep,
again.
he is.
He's in the gravel at turn 14,
well.
the second of the LMP2 AM cars.
Well, T2 Motorsports had a good night so far. In the mix, as are all 6 of our GT class cars for the championship. But in the pits, and that is going to be another car, I think, that's going to need attention on the apron, or we'll go into the garage. Look at the number panel on this side. The 75 car, it is coming into the garage, it's on the dollies. Those number panels, whether or not it's been the heat hit or the water intrusion from that storm early on, major problems for a number of the teams. They've got to have those panels lit, the number panels on the door to be sighted, and you can see there the AF Corsa crew that looked after the T2 Motorsports efforts going to work. The 6 car pushing on, and the 13, another car on a recovery drive. There's a number of those to watch tonight and to savour. Teams that have been right up in the thick of things, looking to salvage as many points as they possibly can as we approach the final hour of this race, getting into the final stints in just about 10 minutes time for the LMP3 cars. Full night conditions were it not for these floodlights. You can see mist hanging in the air over this circuit. Everybody pushing on now, grab as many points as they can before we get into the final race of this very short 4-race season. 4 races, all 4 hours long. There's another crew on a fight back. Swap over from Kurosawa to Sean Tong. And the stars of this race, that early run from the young Hong Kong driver, the 96 car. Looked at one point as if we could have been celebrating a first ever Japanese team win in LMP2, but it went slightly wrong for them. Nothing lacking in the pace department for this 2-man crew. 96 car looks to have plenty to offer in the last 2 races of this season. And let's hope we see them back, because they're learning a lot every single lap of every single track they bring this effort to. A highly experienced crew in GT racing, adding LMP2 now to their armoury. Very much Japanese flag bearers in what's a highly competitive LMP2 environment. Michelin's going on, use Michelin's. Again, left side only for that car. Car on the ground, fired up. And it will be go. Slight staccato start, just holding the car whilst the car went through there. Quick stall there. Catches it again on the starter, and away they go, back into the fray. How many points this time for them? There the car goes. It will filter in just behind one of the Inter-Europol cars there. Well, it's been a night of mixed fortunes so far for Nielsen Racing. Garrett Grist about to get aboard the number 3 car. That's very much in the contention for a win. But here's the 2, and Colin Noble chasing back and looking set to get into a battle for a podium position by the end of this race if his push continues. Ready to be released, the number 2 car. Championship leaders, remember, before they came into this race, do they can to keep that position. And into hour 3, the GT battle. 27 car in the hands of the Hubauto Corsa car, Davide Rigon, pushing on hard, but being bested for much of that period of time by the J-Lock Lamborghini. That leads into the final hour. The number 8 Graf Racing car had a topsy-turvy time, but the number 3 Nielsen Racing car on the hands for most of the period, but Rob Hodes defending a lead. But David Drew, as we move into the final hour, storms into the lead for the second Graf Racing Norma. 52 car in the hands of Gustav Strembergus was producing a solid and very conservative run. That car ends the hour in trouble in the pits. The 36 car in the hands of Aidan Reed, chased down by Ben Barnicoat. Barnicoat would lead the race, but as we got into the end of the hour and they set the next to last, the penultimate pit stop round, 36 in the hands of Aidan Reed now, with Harry Tinknell trying to close down the period. Having taken their pit stop at an inopportune moment, it's now the chase is on for the Dallara. into that final hour. And with Eurasia Motorsport having taken advantage, remember, under that full course yellow, they leapfrog back ahead of the Carlin Dallara, beaten for pace, but then the strategy fell their way. Well, this final hour is going to determine not only some of the championship titles, maybe just the one, but also who stays in the hunt until we get to the final 4-hour race of this season. What will happen with this car, the number 88 J-Lock car? Sits there waiting, not just for the fuel, but to see if fortune falls their way. They've been in the mix for much of the season, and well, the interesting point here is just what does the Japanese Lamborghini Owners Club run at Le Mans if they've not got a Lamborghini available. No GTE version of this car, of course. Team going to work as yet another Inter-Europol car ready to come to a halt behind them. Busy team, the Polish flag team nowadays, of course, with 4 cars here in the Asia Le Mans Series. 25 car. It's been a topsy-turvy night as well for the 2 cars in LMP2 AM. Currently leads the class. And, the 52 car wants to finish on top here to complete the win. Good night so far for 36. That left rear light, though, it's a bit of an intermittent problem. There's trouble out there on track somewhere for the Aston Martin. Been pushing Ross Gunn for a podium. Where has that car come to a halt? See the cars coming through. And there it is. The Aston Martin, briefly saw that well off track. But the Aston Martin station rim plummeting down the order. Big trouble for a real championship contender. As the LMP2 AM title begins to come to a conclusion as well. Everybody's scrambling for whatever points they can salvage here. 36 car is in trouble as well, maybe here. Been warned, they must pit to fix what is. Look at this, no rear lights at the rear of this car. They've been told they have to pit to fix it. They've left that too late. They crossed the line in just a few moments to start what, well, they're onto the final lap now. And if they cross the line here, and they do take the checkered flag, the 36, but will they retain that position? Drama 2 in GT with a 27 car call for a penalty. The Lamborghini is going to win this. Amazing stuff in the last moments of the 4 Hours of Sepang.
Here are the full results. Eurasia, with their first win of the series, have pushed the LMP2 class title down to the final weekend. Thunderhead Carlin takes second and G-Drive take third, meaning all 3 teams can fight till the last day for that Le Mans LMP2 invite. Rick Ware Racing may have only finished 1 car in 20th overall, but they still remain champions-elect in LMP2 AM. In LMP3, it was Graf Racing with the win, ahead of the number 3 Nielsen, Inter-Europol, and the Nielsen number 2 in 3rd and 4th, with Ace 1 Villorba in 5th, ahead of the number 18 Inter-Europol P3. In GT, it's a J-Lock comeback as the Japanese team claims their first deserved win, ahead of the 2 Ferraris of Hub Auto and Spirit of Race. T2 then follows in 4th spot, with Kargai finishing 5th in class.
An extraordinary day at Sepang, with major storm damage delaying the start of the 4 Hours of Sepang by almost 2 hours. In the early stages, the Aston Martin from D-Station Racing would lead the GT race. It was closed down and eventually passed by Liam Talbot in the Hub Auto Corsa Ferrari. That car would lead for much of the race, only to lose to a penalty in the final minutes to the J-Lock Lamborghini Huracan. In LMP3, Team Malaysia, in the form of Viper Nisa Racing, led well in the first 2 hours, but it was heartbreak for the Malaysian team with a failure that cost them dear. They would finish the last of the LMP3 runners. Into the lead went the number 3 car from Nielsen Racing. They led well until an attack from the number 9 Graf Racing car would win the race for the very French team. LMP2 AM would see a late problem for the 25 car rob them of a race win. That would go the way of the class champions now, the 52 Rick Ware Racing team. 4th place overall, the 96 K2 Ichino Orica. 3rd, despite this moment, an assault from the P3 car would go to G-Drive by Algar Pro. 2nd overall would be the car that came home the winner on the road, Rear lights are on at the moment. This shot was taken for the Eurasia Ligier, but by the time it crossed the line, as you can see by this shot, the lights were out and the team had ignored the race director's instruction. That meant the 3 drivers deserved celebrations for them, but that was premature. That would mean that the win would go to the 45 Thunderhead by Carling Racing Delara after a fine run from all 3 drivers.
But once again, a dramatic post-race development would change the outcome of an Asian Le Mans round. The number 36 Eurasia P2 was penalised for ignoring a request to fix non-functioning rear tail lights in the closing stages, which means Thunderhead Carlin Racing were elevated from second to get their first win, Eurasia down to second place, and championship leaders G-Drive by Algarve still in third spot. Podium for GT first up. There's Spirit of Race. Another solid drive from all 3 drivers to take third to boost their championship campaign. Then it's the 3 Hub Auto Corsa drivers in second, leaving a very happy trio of J-Lock drivers Takashi Kogoro, Yuyu Motojima, and Yusaku Shibata to take the top spot. LMP3 podium now, defending champions Inter Europol in third with Nigel Moore and Martin Hipper. Points to add to their 1 point for pole position. In second spot, it's the number 3 crew for Nielsen Racing. And taking the win, the 3 French drivers of Graf Racing, Eric Choulier, Sébastien Paget, and David Drew. LMP2 and LMP2 AM podiums combined here in Sepang. That's the Rick Ware Racing team with the win in LMP2 AM. Well done to them for finishing in difficult conditions. And here's LMP2. What a fight that was. G-Drive by Algarve have to settle for third this time, which is just fine in terms of keeping their overall championship dreams alive. Eurasia take their second spot. And finally, it's a win for Thunderhead Carlin. Ben Barnicoat, Jack Manchester and Harry Ticknell absolutely overjoyed with their first victory.
Wow, there you have it. 4 hours of Sepang, and that one will definitely go in the history of the series as one of the most unforgettable ones. We started off with massive thunderstorm, and the cars were still out on the grid while rain was pouring down on us, and that also caused us some broadcast issues, and therefore we'd like to thank all of you guys for sticking around throughout the many hours that we've been here, and we hope we have done our best to give you the delivery or all that you need to know about 4 hours of Sepang here in the third round of the Asian Le Mans Series. And of course, bravo to Thunderhead Carlin Racing, who are the winners for this round. We will be in Buriram next week for the finale, the last round of this season. We have been having a great time here in 4 hours of Sepang. Thank you so much for watching.